Registered representatives offer securities through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Financial advisors offer advisory services through Securities America Advisors, Inc. Forest Hills Financial, Inc. and Securities America are separate entities. This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steinler.
Good morning. Welcome to Keeping Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by the esteemed Bart Steinler. Mr. Steinler, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Jamie. It's another $1 million morning.
Indeed it is. This is Keeping Your Money Show, where we cut through all the bulls, the booyahs, the bells, whistles, honks, and horns to get you to the information that actually helps you move towards retirement. I want to remind you can always find us on the web at keepingyourmoney.com, facebook.com/keepingyourmoney, or if you want to email me, you can always do that at info@keepingyourmoney.com. Got a great show on deck today. We're going to talk about 8 rules of thumb for your financial life. Most Michigan teachers actually leave before qualifying for a pension, which of course bodes the question of how are we $24 billion in the red if that many people aren't even taking the benefit. 10 retirement rules that probably don't apply anymore. And this school has a novel idea. They won't charge you your tuition until after you get a job. Maybe we should start making all colleges do that. That and more today on Keeping Your Money Show. If you missed any part of the show, you can find it on our website. That's at keepingyourmoney.com. Click on the past shows. You'll see them all listed there. You can also go to iTunes and search for the Keeping Your Money Show, where you can subscribe to our podcast and get updates on a weekly basis as we go. All shows posted a couple days after we go on the air because we've got to run them through compliance and all that good stuff before we can get them up on there. But you should find them usually by Wednesday or Thursday of the following week. So, well, we got a couple things coming up. We are into the end of April here. I can't believe it's almost May, Bart. It's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun.
It's going to be that time soon where it's actually fun to live in Michigan.
Right, exactly.
The time of the year where people say, hey, do you want to go someplace warm? And you say, no, this is the time to stay here, and I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah, would we have that conference? They invited us to San Diego at the end of June.
Yeah.
The end of June is like the perfect time to be in Michigan.
Yeah.
So
you want to see me, you come here.
Right. All right, well, we got our next mixer coming up here just around the corner, May 10th. Where are we going to be at?
We're going to be at the Kitchen by Wolfgang Puck. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's a casual open house style event. We serve light hors d'oeuvres and complimentary beverages, and it's a great way to meet our team of advisors, staff, other professionals, and to network with just a bunch of fun people. We do ask that you RSVP by visiting keepingyourmoney.com or calling us at 1-888-98-MONEY. That's 1-888-986-6639. Or you can email us at info@keepingyourmoney.com. Folks, this is a fun night out, and it doesn't cost you any money, and you just get
no sales pitch, no presentation, just hanging out, enjoying yourself.
Yep.
A few drinks on us, getting to meet some people. It's like networking, but not.
Yeah. It's not like everybody's sitting there sticking a business card in your face.
Well, and it's a nice way to meet. You know, a lot of times people say, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, but maybe you don't want to schedule an appointment right away. Maybe you want to come see what we're all about. Nice way to meet everyone without the obligation of an appointment. And then another great way to meet us and also help a great cause is June 13th is our 4th annual charity golf outing. If you haven't participated before, it's an absolute blast. We're going to have it out at Thornapple Point Golf Club. That's on Tuesday, June 13th. All proceeds go to Kids Food Basket. They provide over 7,000 kids in Grand Rapids food every single weekday of the year. We raised over $19,000 in 2016 because of people just like you, and we would love to have you involved this year as well. We're looking for single golfers, teams of golfers, and sponsors. You can find more information at our website, keepingyourmoney.com. All right, so let's talk about this. I stumbled across this article. I thought it was pretty good. There was some rules of thumb that it was actually on bankrate.com. Kind of the idea of what the rule is, but maybe some reasons that it doesn't apply. We might not get through all 8 of them, but there were a couple that I thought were really important because there's these concepts that we hear, right? Mm-hmm. Like the first one I think is really, you should never buy a house that costs more than 2.5 years worth of your income. That's kind of that mantra that we hear all the time, right? But the real kind of thought process with this is, although that's a good rule of thumb, maybe in normal environments, in a hot interest rate environment where interest rates are really low, or in a hot real estate market where if you really want to buy a home, you might pay a little bit more than even what it's worth because that's what you need to do to get one. Those rules just might not apply, because if you're getting a mortgage at 3.5%, you obviously can afford more than if you're getting that mortgage at 7 or 8%.
Right, and with all of these rules, there's so many other factors that you need to take into consideration when you're doing these things. So obviously, you don't want to buy a house that you can't afford, but you have to take into factors what the interest rate are, what your needs are. You know, maybe you need more room because your parents are going to be moving back in with you, or maybe your kids are going to be moving back in with you, or whatever. So there's a lot of things to take into
and a good indication when purchasing a home is to look at the rental market. If you're going to buy a 4-bedroom home in the school district you want, that's a relatively newer home, and the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance are going to be $1,700 a month, and to rent that same home would be $2,500 a month, then it clearly makes sense to be purchasing. If the rent were the opposite, it was $1,700 and purchasing were $2,500, then you have to really ask yourself, does owning that home, is that really worth an additional $10,000 a year? And only you can make that decision.
Right.
But you really need to look at it as more of a big picture than just simply some metric on how much you can purchase. Another one we talk about, we hear this all the time, you should be saving at least 10% of your money towards retirement. In all reality, 10% may be nothing close to what you need, or it may be more than you need.
I think most people that we talk to should be saving more than 10%.
Yeah. But you also take into account if you're someone who has a pension, if your spouse is a high earner and maybe they have a pension, maybe there's inheritance, maybe there's family wealth. I mean, there's a lot of other things that can go into the equation versus just how much you're earning.
The author of this article said something that I thought was disturbing. He goes, when you're young, you should be borrowing money so that you can get an education. You will have more room in your budget later on when your income goes up during middle age, and you'll have fewer expenses.
So he's encouraging not to save at a young age. That's great.
Not a good idea on both ends. And also, it's not necessarily true that when your income grows up in your middle age, you'll have fewer expenses, because you're likely to have children that you're raising, and I don't know many instances when raising children reduces your expenses.
Well, and I would even say, just assuming during middle age your income will go up is even is an interesting assumption. I mean, sure, many times that's true, but people that found themselves in their late 40s, early 50s in 2008 through 2012 probably didn't feel really great about those increasing incomes because they didn't exist. Many people lost their jobs.
A lot of people in their middle age have to actually make career changes, and when you make that career change, a lot of times you're stepping down in how much money you're making, and then you have to build it back up again.
Well, and I think the other thing that we always have to think about when it comes to retirement and saving for retirement, right? We have this finite concept. I'm going to retire when I'm, 65, 60, 70, whatever, right? But there are so many factors that impact your retirement, many that are well beyond your control. Your company can go out of business. You could become injured or ill. Your spouse could become injured or ill. You could have a family tragedy. So to make long-term decisions based on the idea that you're going to be the one who decides when you retire can sometimes be a very, very dangerous assumption to make. That's why you should be saving as much as you possibly can from the first day you possibly can, because we don't know what the future holds. And your ability to save today is for sure. We don't know if your ability to save tomorrow even exists.
Yeah, I think it comes out of every paycheck as soon as you start making a paycheck.
Yep. They talk about the percentage of portfolio between bonds and stocks. We've talked about that a number of times. You should not be using your age as a calculator. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong, and you really should be sitting down with a professional about that. Retirement withdrawals, we're going to talk a little bit later about the idea of how much you can withdraw from a portfolio. So we'll skip that one as well. But I want to talk about this one because I think this is important. There's this rule of thumb that over time, a diversified portfolio returns a certain percentage, right?
Yep.
And we hear all kinds of numbers thrown around. And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that there's another radio personality on a national level that throws out a number that has been disproven time and time again as not being possible. It's too high of a number. But he bases his entire philosophy on that number. And you have to be really careful with this, because one of the things that this takes into account is, or doesn't take into account, is it does not take into account human nature. It does not take into account that when things are going really good, we sometimes make bad decisions. And when things are going really bad, we sometimes make bad decisions. We're human. We have emotions. If you just left your money and never thought about it again, then there are some projections that can be made. But most people don't have it within themselves to actually be able to do that. And then the other thing you have to take into account is fees. No one ever talks about fees. They talk about what the S&P did, but they don't talk about what impact fees would have on that performance if you were invested in it.
And also, they're talking about a long period of time, and we're in a world that's constantly changing. So, the idea that maybe there was a period of time when we were in a high growth state, we're in an economy now where there's certain parts of the market that do grow very well, and others that are very stable and kind of plow along and inch up a little bit at a time. So the idea that you're going to receive double-digit returns in the market year after year, it's kind of the reason pensions have run into problems, because they've projected those type of returns and haven't been able to achieve them. So if these pension funds, which are run by some really smart people, cannot achieve those type of returns, what makes you think that you're going to do it just by picking a couple of mutual funds and sticking your money in there?
Well, and I think you make a good point, though. Like, a lot of these assumptions started by Ibbotson and Associates back, after the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. Well, after the Great Depression, we've seen one of the largest economic booms in the history of mankind. Will there be things like the invention of the internet and microchips and, the expansion of automobiles and airplanes? And we've had a pretty amazing run of innovation. I mean, I would say 500 to 600 years from now, there will probably be a name for this century that we've been fortunate enough to be alive for, because the amount of innovation and expansion of knowledge and economic growth has been really unprecedented. To make your next 70 years of predictions based on the last 70 years is probably a little screwed up, and you're probably not going to be happy with the long-term results on that, which is why you always hear that disclaimer: past performance is not indicative of future results. We don't know what the future brings. To overshoot your return estimates is definitely one way to put yourself in a crimp.
In the world we're in today, too, it's a disruption, because if there's something that's new and innovative, it's probably disrupting something else that's already there. So the thing that's getting disrupted probably isn't going to have those kind of returns.
Yep. The last one, real quick. You should always have 5 times your salary in life insurance. There's a lot of caveats to that. If you're a sole breadwinner, if you have significant debt, if you own a business, you should probably have significantly more life insurance. If you need a quote on life insurance, we work with a great company on that. We'd be happy to help you out. You can just give us a call, 888-98-MONEY. All right, coming up, most Michigan teachers leave before they qualify for a pension. Makes you wonder why we're billions in the red then. Coming up right now on the Keep Your Money Show.